In the high-stakes world of Formula One, speed is the only currency that matters. But in 2016, the man behind one of the grid's most successful underdog teams found himself running from a debt faster than any car he ever built. Vijay Mallya, the king of good times. Owner of Force India, member of parliament, and the man who allegedly walked away with $1.4 billion of public money. Welcome to the dark ledger. Before the red notices and the extradition battles, there was the glamour. Mallya didn't just own a team, he owned a lifestyle. While his Force India cars were punching above their weight on the track, his empire back home was bleeding out. Kingfisher Airlines, his crown jewel, was grounded. 7,000 crore rupees in debt. Thousands of employees left without pay. And a trail of loans from state-owned banks that seemed to vanish into thin air. To understand the fall, you have to understand the height of the excess. Mallya's 60th birthday party in Goa wasn't just a celebration, it was a statement. 2 days of international pop stars, private fireworks, and vintage champagne, costing an estimated $2 million. At that very moment, Kingfisher Airlines employees hadn't been paid in 15 months. This is the Mallya paradox. He argued that his personal wealth was separate from his corporate failures. But for the Indian public, watching him sip cognac in the F1 paddock while pilots struggled to buy groceries, the separation didn't exist. Investigators claimed the play was simple, yet devastating. Take massive loans to save a failing airline, then divert that capital to fund the high-octane world of Formula One and a fleet of private luxury yachts. By the time the banks realized the king of good times was playing with their money, the king had already left the building. In March 2016, Mallya boarded a flight to London, leaving behind 17 banks and a debt of nearly 9,000 crore. Today, the Force India name is gone from the grid. The cars have been repainted, the trophies sold, and the man who once sat on the pit wall lives in a mansion in Hertfordshire, fighting every attempt to bring him back to an Indian courtroom. Speed saved him for a while, but the ledger always balances out in the end. The lenders were led by the State Bank of India. For years, they had extended credit based on a brand name that no longer had value. When they finally moved to freeze his assets, they found a complex web of offshore trusts and shell companies, stretching from the British Virgin Islands to Switzerland. This wasn't just a business failing, it was a surgical extraction of capital. By the time the king of good times fled to his mansion in Ladywalk, the banks realized they weren't just chasing a debtor, they were chasing a ghost. The Indian government didn't just want the money, they wanted the man. In 2017, London's Scotland Yard made the move, arresting Mallya on behalf of Indian authorities. The courtroom became a theater of high-finance warfare. India argued that Mallya had no intention of repaying the loans, that Kingfisher Airlines was a pretext to siphon cash into his personal empire. Mallya's defense: a business failure is not a crime. He famously tweeted from his mansion, "Please take the money," and offered to pay back the principal, but by then, the interest on his reputation was already too high. The Indian government didn't just want the money, they wanted the man. In 2026, the stalemate remains. Vijay Mallya continues to live in the United Kingdom, a man without a passport, moving between his central London residence at Cornwall Terrace and his massive estate in Hertfordshire. He is a prisoner of his own wealth. While British courts have upheld his bankruptcy order, allowing trustees to hunt for his global assets to pay back over £1 billion, the man himself remains untouchable. He relies on confidential legal matters, widely believed to be an asylum claim, to stall the final flight back to New Delhi. Even as Indian authorities show off special enclaves in Tihar jail, built specifically for high-profile fugitives, Mallya is seen in London, partying with other exiles, joking about their status as the world's most wanted men. Speed saved him from the track. The law saved him from the banks. But in the dark ledger, the interest on a stolen reputation never stops compounding.